Hello, everybody. Stones Malone here. I figured I would take a few moments to walk you through the process that I go through to make my Wrestling World Wrestling videos. I've had a few people ask me about this on Reddit. A few people on Facebook have asked me, like, what software I use to animate my Jesse Venison and Vance McMahon characters. So I figured, what the hell, I'll kind of show everybody how I go about doing this and kind of prove to everybody that you can do stupid crap like this without the aid of a computer or expensive software or microphones or any of it. 100% of this process is done on my Galaxy S8. So not only is it just a cell phone, but it's an old crappy cell phone. It's like 5 years old. So let's just get into it. If you look to the upper left here, you'll see this little collection of apps I have titled Video Editing. So we'll go in there. And that is where we find everything that I use to create these videos. The two most important are Kinemaster, which you see in the upper left, and iFunface, which you see in the lower right. The other ones are all kind of interchangeable. This is an Android, obviously. So Photo Editor, Photo Layers, those two you see at the top middle, they may not be available in the App Store for iOS. But, I mean, essentially all those apps are they're the apps that I use to make PNGs, which is essential to the process. But, you know, any app, whether it's Photoshop, whether it's whatever, anything that you can use to kind of cut images out of backgrounds, you know, it'll work. So that you have probably a wide selection. These are just the apps that I use. Collage Maker and Prisma, you can ignore those. Those I just use for thumbnails, really, if even that. I rarely use those apps, but I do sometimes, so they're here. So let's start with Kinemaster. That's the most important, and I should mention that I do pay for it. I think it's like $25 or somewhere in that ballpark annually to get the full version of that app, and I find it to be worth it. There's no watermark. You have all the pro features at your disposal, so I do pay for that. You can use it for free. You're just going to be a little more limited, and I think your videos get stuck with that little watermark in the corner. So anyway, here we are. We're looking at like the main menu here, and you can see I have a few projects that I have in the works. But let's just go to create new. Okay. And you see that it gives us the option to select the aspect ratio. Do that if you want. I mean, typically, you should be doing your videos in 16:9 if you're uploading them to YouTube, unless you're some kind of Neanderthal that likes to, you know, upload videos at 9:16, which I really don't understand. But anyway, so yeah, we'll select 16:9. Actually, let me just back out of this and just go to the one that I have open here, because all I've done was select my background here. All right, and as you can see, this is the background we're looking at is just like a looped video of a little piece of WWF's Saturday Night's main event, or the main event, whatever. So that we always start with like one piece of media, and then you can keep adding more media on after that. You can see there's this wheel here to the right. You've got media, layers, record, audio, moving counterclockwise, of course. But when you hit the media tab, that's what drops this video in here. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a video. It can be anything. It can, you know, anything from your picture gallery or whatever you want to use as your background. And then the layers tab, that's what we're going to use to throw stuff on top of that. So when I'm doing my videos, I typically have something like this in the background playing on a loop, and then I stick my Vance and Jesse characters on top of that. So if we go to the layer tab over here to the left, you can see it gives us the option to add media, text, effects. That's just like filters and stuff and what have you. So, I mean, you go to the media tab, and then it opens up your library. And as you can see, I have a few things in here that I've already kind of done a lot of this, and you'll see here in a minute. But I figured I'd show you kind of how it all looks. So what I will actually do first is, you can see it says I got about 2 minutes and 42 seconds so far. The next step is I record the dialogue. That's the first thing I do. Before I do anything with any of the video is I do my dialogue as Vance and Jesse or as Jim and Tony. And so I always want to make sure that I have enough set in the media, enough time so that my audio doesn't get cut off. Because as you start recording your audio, once the video stops, the recording stops. So you want to make sure you give yourself enough time. But I mean, there's not a lot to it. You know, I'm not going to get into all like the finer details of it. It's just like, you know, nobody taught you how to use your dick. You just kind of figured it out by playing with it probably. So just play with it. You'll figure it out. You know, for the most part, it's self-explanatory. Record, guess what that does? You know, it records your voice. When you hit start, that starts the recording, you know, so on and so forth, right? So anyway, let me just show you. I have my kind of finished video piece here. So I'm showing you everything. We got Orville Redenbacher and we have Oprah Winfrey. Those are the two characters that I selected for today's demonstration. Why? Because why the fuck not? So as you can see here, we have our various layers all set up. We've got the Jim and Tony body, which I'm borrowing for Orville and Oprah. And then you can see I've got the crowd cheers and applause sound effect to kind of go underneath everything. And then in purple there, that's my dialogue. That's Orville Redenbacher and Oprah Winfrey having an exchange. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll hit the, what the fuck? There we go. I'll hit the record tab and I'll do my little bit of dialogue as Vance or as Jesse or as Tony or whoever, you know, and then my next bit of dialogue will be the other character, you know, responding to that character. So you know, to the left, it could be Vance and then Jesse and then Vance and then Jesse and, you know, back and forth, back and forth. So I get all that sorted out first. Okay. Once I'm happy with the dialogue, what I will then do is then come out of here and let's take a look at iFunface. Or actually, no, pardon me. What we'll do is this. Let me go into Google. I've already done this, but I'm going to do it again, just to kind of show everybody. Let me rotate my phone here. So we've got Orville Redenbacher, and so I'm going to show you how I got him in there. All right, so we'll pick an image that we like. In this case, I picked this one, and simply take a screenshot. Okay, so we've got our screenshot, a good Orville. For those of you who are maybe a bit younger, Orville Redenbacher was like this popcorn guru or popcorn salesman back in the fucking early 80s, all right? I don't know. I think he died quite a long time ago. But anyway, that's not important right now. So this is the Photo Layers app. And as you can see, I have a green background that I've already loaded up. I don't really need to explain how that works. It's when you open the app, it asks you to pick it asks you to select a picture. I've selected a green background. And you'll see why in a second. We're going to utilize a chroma key here. So let's go to, I mean, you can see I've already done this, like I said, but I'm doing it again so you can see it. So we got our Orville. We're going to crop out what we don't need, what we don't want. Once we got that, we're going to go into, you can see at the bottom, there's some tools here. I'm going to use the cut tool so that we can remove this fucking disgusting mustard yellow background. Now we have our next set of tools. We've got manual, magic, auto, repair, zoom, all kinds of options. I'm not really sure how this, I've never really used the extract tool. It seems to be a pain in the ass to me. You know, the rest of it's easy enough. So if you select auto and then move the cursor over to the color that you want to eliminate, it kind of just automatically eliminates it, right? So you want to make sure that whatever the image is, there's at least a stark enough contrast between the color you're trying to remove from the background and the color that you're trying to keep in the foreground. Actually, let me back up and show you like kind of how it works. If you see, if you adjust the threshold, you can set it to be stronger or weaker or whatnot. You can change the color of the background to see how everything looks. That looks pretty damn good right there. So now all we got to really do is clean everything else up. But like I said, if you try to do something that's too close to the color, you know, see the color of good old Orville's skin is a little too close to that beige suit that he's wearing. So we need to fucking back off that a little. Maybe auto isn't the way to go, at least not right here. So we'll go into manual, eliminate this bullshit, zoom in so we can get a little bit tighter on it. The auto or the magic tool works pretty good too. That just kind of, it's like a gentler version of the auto tool. It only is set to work within that little circle. So that can be pretty easy too. I mean, find what works best for you. The bottom line is whatever tool you find the most useful to cut your image out, just use that. If you got real steady fingers or whatever, more power to you. So this is, you know, we got his head, you know, we saved his, made sure you get that little turkey neck in there to make it, you know, really drive home that disgusting and horrifying look. So yeah. There's Orville Redenbacher's head. So we'll go ahead and click done when we're done with that. Oh, look at that. We missed a few spots. So we can go back. And this is where changing the color of that background can kind of come in. All right, that I think we got it now. So hit done. And if you look real close, you might notice like the kind of, you can still see some of that yellow background in the back of his hair. I'm not too worried about that here for the purposes of this video, but at the bottom, you'll notice we can adjust the smoothness. Right now it's set to 0, but if we set it to 5, you see all that kind of just fall away. So that looks good. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to blow his head up and take up most of the image. We want to make sure that there's a lot of headroom here surrounding the head. And you'll see why in a little bit here. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and save that. And then we will take him into eye fun face, which I have already down here. Go ahead and hit start, and then it's asking us to choose a photo. We're going to select one from our albums. And by the way, you'll notice, see, these are all my little Fire Pro parts that I have saved. I edit those on my phone too. I don't fuck with any of that on the computer. And the reason, by the way, that I do this is because I just don't have a lot of free time. I have 5 minutes here, 10 minutes, 20 minutes there. I'm on the go all the fucking time. Most of the time, I'm not at home when I'm doing this. I'm on the road. I'm on a lunch break, whatever. So whether it be editing CAWs or whether it be making a new video for YouTube, chances are I'm not at home. I'm sitting in my car. So anyway, that's beside the point. So, you know, I might have to black some stuff out if we have any screenshots saved from like my mortgage company or anything you shouldn't be seeing. Anyway, photo layers, there we go. Orville Redenbacher. We'll go ahead and pick that. Yeah, we definitely don't want anybody getting my routing number or seeing any of my crisp memes. I'm not looking to let anyone in on that. Political allegiances are one thing, but I don't want any of you fuckers tapping into my bank account. We're going to go ahead and hit no thanks. I'm not going to like them on Facebook, even though I probably should, since their app is pretty fundamental to what I do here. For now, we're going to skip that. Now's not the time. So, wait a second. What the fuck happened? I already did this part. Anyway, we'll go back to it, do it again. Sometimes the app acts up. You know, when I found that when I'm running this particular app that I'm using to record this, it can kind of screw with other apps. Particularly the microphone. Like the phone can't allow 2 apps to simultaneously access the microphone. So we are going to skip a few of these parts. So I did a lot of this ahead of time. But anyway, so we'll go ahead and hit next. We got our image. I yak too much, man. No thanks. And so the next step is to highlight the head. We're just going to run our thumb over Orville's head here. Make sure we capture all of it. You may notice I'm not really too worried about staying in the lines. I guess if you were using this app for another purpose, maybe you'd want to be a little cleaner about it. But again, we have him green screened. All that green shit's going to be eliminated once we get to the main video anyway. So I'm not too worried about it. So now we get to adjust his mouth. Pretty self-explanatory again. You move the dots around to a place that you're happy with. They make it pretty easy. You know, I find that I like when I get this top dot should be right underneath his top row of teeth. We can go ahead and preview mouth. That looks adequately terrifying. And then we'll move on to the next step, which is to record the voice. So that's where I'm going to stop right here. And I'll just kind of briefly explain how I go about doing this. You know, I don't, as I kind of explained earlier, I did my dialogue within Kinemaster already. We have Orville Redenbacher's voice recorded. We have Oprah Winfrey's voice recorded. That's already done. So what I'm going to do, and this is fucking tedious, this is how I do it. I'm sure some of you out there will have a better way. I will take my Galaxy S8, okay? So let's come out of this. Go back into Kinemaster here. All right, so I've got my audio, right? I will go through, okay, so let's say for the sake of this demonstration, we've got Orville's voice here, right? And then we have Oprah right here. I want to go through and mute all the Oprah parts, which, you know, here, because it's just a quick demonstration, there's only 2 of them. So when I hit play, Orville's voice will be playing here, and then there will be silence. And then it'll play again here, and silence, and then play, and then done. Okay? So I'll go back to the beginning, hit play, hold it up to my iPad, and record it as a voice memo. So you got the full, 27.933 seconds recording into a voice memo on a separate device. Okay? Then I take that recording, come back into iFunface, and use that for my audio. And that audio is what is animating Vance and Jesse and Jim and Tony's and Orville's and Oprah's fucking stupid heads. Okay? That's how I do it. And then I bring that video back in here and sync that up to these audio files. So let me go ahead and unmute Oprah, by the way, before I forget. And just so you can see what that looks like, I go up to Orville's head. This is the video that I've already captured in iFunface. I've already set the chroma key. I've already cropped it out, but let me back out of some of that so you can just so you can see it. For those of you who it might help. So this is what the video file looks like when you export it from iFunface. This is why we want the green screen. This is why I said not to get his head too big, because we want to make sure we have room to crop that little watermark out, and we want to make sure that we're easily able to eliminate the background. So all we see is Redenbacher's fucking head. All right? So that's about it, man. As far as how I do these little Vance and Jesse parts to my videos. And honestly, I think that's what most people were inquiring about in the first place. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play here. Hopefully it won't be an ear bleed. I don't know how loud I have my volume set. And, this phone is now picking up everything on the mic, so hopefully this isn't too loud. Maybe you want to turn the volume down on your devices now, but here's how it turned out.
Good evening, ma'am. Could I interest you in purchasing some of my buttery and delicious popcorn?
Well, I do like butter, but I'll tell you this, those buttery-looking teeth of yours are grossing me out, so I'm not sure. How much butter is it?
It's the butteriest of butters. Even just a teaspoon will grease the driest of holes.
Oh, I love it. Butter, butter, butter,
Yes, butter, 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 butter.
Yeah, and there you go. Tell me when the last time you heard a better Oprah Winfrey impression, right? That's right up there with my Jesse, I gotta say. I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. That's about it, though. That's most of the questions that have been directed at me were related specifically to this. If anybody is interested in a little more details about like some of the other things I do in these videos, which really isn't much, because beyond this, it's just a matter of taking gameplay footage and then inserting it into, like I said, the media tab, and then, talking shit over it. So it's basically the same shit, but less work. There's less involved because I'm not doing any like character animations of my own. It's all just gameplay footage. I'm sure that most of you out there watching know how to at least do that. Okay. But if there are any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you would like me to dive further in depth or do another video like this, let me know. I can't imagine why you would. I mean, this is basically everything. I'm not the greatest at walking people through shit like this. I'm not a fucking professional, as you may have, guessed. But yeah, so, and like I said, the Kinemaster, the iPhone face, they're available both on Android and iPhone, iOS devices. But I'm not going to keep yakking just for the sake of it. I think we're done here. Oh, one other little tidbit that that I failed to mention earlier. I don't think the audio, all things considered, sounds too bad on these. And I'm not using any kind of external microphone. It's just me talking into the phone. But what is crucial that I don't think a lot of people quite understand, and I've seen people spend money on fucking mics, and then they sit in their fucking parents' basement and their fucking recording sounds like absolute trash. Because what's more important than the microphone is the acoustics of the fucking room. I always make it a point to either, I'll like I said, I'm usually sitting in my car or sitting in my van or something, right? Now, in my videos, there's a lot of shit going on. You got the audio from the Fire Pro. I've got the crowd cheering in the background. I've got music and all kinds of stuff that drown out any background noise or flaws that may be present in my the recording of my voice. And of course, there is, like, if you notice my P's and T's, you might hear some pops here and there, right? I'm not smart enough to have thought to like throw a wind filter over the phone and try that yet, but maybe I will someday. But otherwise, yeah, that's the important thing. If you're going to be recording the way that I'm doing it on your phone, make sure you kind of figure out where a proper distance from your fucking face is, and make sure you're in a room that doesn't have a lot of reverb. It doesn't have to be like a super professional setting with soundproofing on the walls and all that. Just something that doesn't have a whole lot of reverb. It seems to work well for me. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to let it go. I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully sooner than later. Bye.